Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rika Mukherjee. This is Chris Caldwell. This is the DFS Jags Fantasy Football Podcast. We are going live on Tuesday instead of a Wednesday to answer all your questions. If you're tuning in for the first time, please like, comment, and subscribe to Nickel City Mafia on YouTube. Leave us some questions in the live chat. We will answer as many of the questions as possible. And we're here today to recap week 8 in the NFL, look ahead to week 9, talk some news in the NFL. There's a lot of trades today, answer all your fantasy football questions, talk waiver wires, and hopefully we can do this in an hour because that's what I gotta go. If not, Chris will lead you to the end. But how you doing, Chris?
Good, man. 9 leagues, went 8-1 last week. I'm finally feeling like my teams are hitting stride. Just took for the bye weeks to come around, really show off my depth. So I'm excited to talk about this past week.
Is it the fact that you're waiting for the bye weeks to show your depth, or is it because you're paying attention more now that you don't have to worry about wedding planning and getting married and going on a honeymoon?
Probably a little bit of both. I paid a lot of attention in the off season, and then weeks 1 and 2, and then kind of gave up for 3 or 4 weeks. But I'm back, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Do you want to start off by talking about some of the trade stuff today, or do you want to start recapping games? How do you want to do it?
Let's go through the games and we'll hit the trades in each game. If there's a trade that happened with one of those teams, and then if there's any that we didn't touch on, we'll just do it at the end. Okay. But yeah, a lot of cool trades.
Yeah, a lot of this was the most trades I ever remember being at a trade deadline ever. Like this,
it is the most ever. 10 is the most ever. Yeah.
Yeah, It was like 9 or 10 trades today. That's crazy. Okay. Let's hop right into it. We're gonna start rolling in these games here. We'll start off with our Ravens last week, Thursday night, going to Tampa Bay and win that game 27-22. The Ravens get a much needed win on the road in prime time. Now they have 10 days off before their next game. This was a pretty ugly game in the first half, and then for some reason the Ravens just kind of flipped the switch at halftime, and they look like a new team in the second half. That was probably the best half of football I've seen them play all year. Definitely the best second half of football they played all year. It was like I said, it was a much needed win. The Bucks look kind of like a broken team. Tom Brady looks old and doesn't look like he knows what he's doing at the quarterback position. But yeah, Chris, give me your takeaways. Our Ravens get a win here on Thursday night last week.
Yeah, 4 possessions in the second half, 3 touchdowns and a field goal. So the Ravens' second half struggles, at least for this week, have gone away. Defense was pretty stout all game, so that was pretty nice. But big offensive takeaways from this game was Mark Andrews, a week after having no catches, had 3 catches for 33 yards, I believe all in the first quarter, or maybe first and beginning of the second quarter. But Mark Andrews got hurt and had to leave the game. Haven't seen an updated injury report on Mark Andrews, but if he were to miss time, kind of the star of the game for the Ravens was our rookie tight end, Isaiah Likely. So if Mark Andrews were to miss any time at all, Isaiah Likely is not only a must-add to your team, I think he's actually a must-start because that combines with another injury the Ravens had in this game, which is Rashad Bateman leaving the game with a foot injury, and I believe he will require a minor surgery. So Devin Duvernay and the tight end crew are going to be carrying the heavy load for this Ravens team, at least for this week coming up. So monitor this closely. I think Devin Duvernay is a must start. Back end wide receiver 2, top end wide receiver 3 this coming week. And if Andrews misses time, got to start Likely too. He looked absolutely amazing in this game.
How's my mic sound right now? A little better.
Same. Yeah. I'll keep going and cover this game while you check it out. Yeah. So, so the Gus Edwards also went down with the injury in this game, but it looks like his injury is only minor and is not the knee that he had surgery on last year. It was a hamstring injury. It looks like he won't miss time, so that's a good thing. As for the Bucs side of the ball, We did a short video on it last week, or I did, and I don't know, and I could be completely wrong. He could score 2 or 3 touchdowns next week. Leonard Fournette looks completely washed to me. I said I highly suggest picking up Rashad White and put him on the back end of your bench. I don't know if or when they'll go to him, but if Leonard Fournette were to have an injury, it looks like he might be playing hurt, or maybe his age is finally getting to him. But I think Rashad White is someone down the stretch of fantasy football into the playoffs that might be really valuable for your team. And those are the people we want that really come on the middle of the year, the second half of the year, and can take you to that championship. Oh, you're back.
I am back. I just unplugged and replugged everything in.
You sound great.
Sound better now?
Yep, sound great.
Okay, cool. Sorry about the technical difficulties there. Sometimes you just got to unplug things and plug back in. Yeah.
Yep. You could be an IT manager. No, I was. I talked all about the Ravens, and it was just getting into the running back situation for the Bucks. You know how Fournette kind of had a down game. Rashad White, didn't have as many touches as Fournette, but he played at really key spots in the game, which I found weird. There was critical drives in the second half where Fournette didn't see the field at all. So I don't know if I'm looking too much into it because I own a bunch of Rashad White, and I'm like, fingers crossed, I really want him to take over that job. But what's your take on this game?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the same stuff you said. Like, we don't really know what Mark Andrews' situation is. I think he's going to play on Monday night, but then again, it is a bye the week after the Monday night game, so maybe we can just give him this game off. Hopefully, the Saints aren't that good, so we might be able to beat them without him. So, like you said, Isaiah Likely looks really good. He looks like the guy he did in the preseason, so I'm excited to see what he has to offer. I think Rashad Bateman lost is a kind of big. He's going to be out multiple weeks. Looks like we're pretty thin at
four plus. Yeah,
we're pretty thin at wide receiver now. But Devin Duvernay is good. He's my man. I love Devin Duvernay. I think he's a solid wide receiver for our team, and we're primarily a running team anyway. So yeah, that should be fine. But as far as Tampa Bay goes, I don't see much of Leonard Fournette like moving forward. I think they've kind of abandoned the run a little bit, and they just don't look like the Bucks of old, like the Super Bowl champions and the juggernaut they were the last couple of years. So Mike Evans is still doing his thing. Chris Godwin is still doing his thing. Which out of those two do you like moving forward, Evans or Godwin?
Yeah, I'm a big Godwin guy. But it's hard to argue with Evans' production. The guy's just timeless. Like, he's absolutely incredible. If I have to pick one, I'm picking Evans, but I like Godwin a lot. Like, at his perceived value and his price, I think he might be better, per his perceived value. I think a lot of people just don't. He's not a flashy player, right? So he's like, no one really wants to roster him and play him.
Yeah. And then they really don't get much production out of the tight end position either. So I'm a little hesitant to play anyone outside of Evans and Godwin in fantasy when it comes to the Bucks. I think even you could consider benching Tom Brady if you really need to. I feel like there's other quarterbacks that you can stream that are better than Tom Brady. So yeah, they're not that impressive. And they play the Rams this week, and I'm calling that the Fraud Bowl this week. It's the battle of two fraud teams. So we'll see who comes out victorious there. Big news out of Ravens camp this week. They traded for Roquan Smith, the NFL's leading tackler. They're going to line him up right there in the middle with Patrick Queen. I know it doesn't really relate to fantasy-wise, but, a better defense always leads to a better offense. So if you have some, Ravens players on your fantasy team, you could think that they're going to be good moving forward, especially if their defense gets better.
I would say there's a small fantasy implication because the Ravens' schedule the second half of the year is really weak. And we added Roquan Smith, and we're getting Tyus Bowser and David Ajabo back as pass rushers. So I think the Ravens' defense is a really viable streaming option if they weren't already the second half of the year. And they have a cake schedule. So, if you have room on your bench to pick them up, I think they're going to have a lot of nice matchups.
Ryan asked, how much fab would you say for Likely given the uncertainty with Andrews?
When do if your waivers run tonight, I say I wouldn't overdo it. It depends who your other tight end is. A lot of questions here. It's kind of I got to feel it out. If you can give us some
Yeah.
more info, I can answer better.
Yeah, if you're weak at tight end, I mean, this week I think likely is a good tight end stream just for this week, because I
They have a
think
bye
if
next week. Yeah.
yeah they have a bye next week, so I probably wouldn't go too overboard. I mean, we already know that how volatile the tight end position is already in the NFL, outside of like the main studs. So I mean, I wouldn't spend the fab on this like you would like a running back or maybe a wide receiver. But I mean, you could if you feel like you can get away with like I don't know like $10 maybe $10-11 for if you're in need of a tight end this week. I mean, that's something maybe you can offer up for Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, if your waivers run tonight, I wouldn't go crazy. But if your waivers run tomorrow and we learn that Andrews didn't practice and he's looking doubtful, and you're kind of in a you're 3-5, like you really need a win, go ahead, blow it, go 15-20%. He's gonna have a great week against the Saints because there's no one else to throw the ball to. It's Duvernay and Likely.
Yep, that's true. Jake asked, "How do you feel about the Ravens D versus the Saints?" If you're talking fantasy wise, I don't know, man. Like I've been pretty hesitant to play the Ravens D all year. They're not the greatest when it comes to.
But it's Andy Dalton.
It is Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton does love throwing pick sixes. He threw a couple against the Cardinals last week, or a couple weeks ago. So definitely don't mind that. But I don't know. There might be better options when it comes to streaming defenses this week.
Yep. All right,
All right,
we
let's
beat this one to death.
Yep, let's move on. We're going to go to the Arizona Cardinals at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings cover a -4 point spread at home. Win this game 34-26. The Cardinals look better than they did earlier in the year. Obviously, it looks like DeAndre Hopkins is a man to be reckoned with here. It looks like he has made that offense tremendously better. He went for 12 for 160 in this game and a touchdown. Justin Jefferson did his thing, 100 yards receiving. Adam Thielen got a little banged up in this game. Dalvin Cook did his thing. Vikings look pretty legit, man. I mean, they're 6-1. They're 4-0 at home. Are they a force to be reckoned with in the NFC? I don't know, just because there's still Kirk Cousins at quarterback, and he's not like somebody I see imagine winning a Super Bowl. But they did get TJ Hawkinson today or yesterday, and that's a pretty big move. Fantasy implications moving forward. But talk to me about this game.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on the Vikings, I think they're definitely a contender. I mean, the Eagles and the Vikings are looking like two of the strongest teams in the NFC. And like you said, adding Hawkinson, it's just going to mean worlds to that offense. This offense was already absolutely humming, and then you give them a top 5 tight end in the NFL. It's more than a replacement for Irv Smith, who's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. It's just a completely different player. Irv Smith's not a tight end. He's a bulked up slot receiver, and Hawkinson is a true hand in the dirt blocking and receiving tight end. This is good for Dalvin Cook, who already looks amazing. And this offense is just amazing. It just depends if their defense can hang in there. But, love the outlook of the Vikings moving forward.
What about the Cardinals?
Oh, man. I feel like we've said this like not only like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, but like 2 or 3 years in a row. You just never know with them, man. They're such a frustrating team to watch and like franchise to watch and like try to understand. Yeah, fantasy wise, Hopkins, he's the GOAT, top 10 receiver rest of the season, if you have to ask me. It was cool that they actually used Rondale Moore correctly this game.
First time his entire career, I think.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. Like if you actually, get the ball to the guy in space, he's one of the best playmakers in the NFL. So keep an eye on that. I think he's going to be a really hot waiver addition this week.
Yeah.
Especially with Marquise Brown out for another month. So
I will say this: we haven't seen the Cardinals yet this year with their full complement of team. Like we haven't seen them with Hollywood Brown, Rondale Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, James Conner, yeah. Like we haven't seen them all play a game together. So I still think like they're pretty formidable when they have all those players on offense, and I think Kyler's decent enough to, support these guys. So we'll see. I think they're getting Hollywood back either this week or maybe next week. No. Out for a
No,
while?
not quite. No, it's like 3 or 4 more weeks.
3 or 4 more weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll see how they look when he comes back. But they do have an idiot for a head coach. Cliff Kingsbury is not a good head coach, and he just makes some bonehead decisions time to time. So that could be their downfall moving forward. But overall, I think they're pretty formidable in a weird division this year. I would
Mm-hmm.
say with the Seahawks leading that division, and
Mm-hmm.
who knows what the 49ers and Rams are bad. So I don't know. Maybe they can get it together and make the playoffs. We never know.
Yeah, it's an open division still. I think the 49ers got to be the favorite, but it's a wide open division. And just while we're on this team, I say that I like James Conner as like kind of a weird kind of buy low right now because he
Yeah.
hasn't played in 3 weeks. This offense is clicking now that Hopkins is back, and typically when a player doesn't play for a couple weeks, people just lose interest. Like he sits on their bench, like he's not a shiny toy anymore. If you need running back help, I think he's one of the better buys for this week coming up.
Yep. All right. We have a question here. It says, "I just made Eddie Zhang. If you're new to the channel, please like and comment and subscribe." He says, "I just made a massive trade. Who do you guys think won? Dalvin, Cook, Fournette, Mike Evans, Lamar Jackson for Hurts, Waddle, CD, Swift, full PPR."
Second half,
Yeah,
the second four, right?
definitely
So
think the second half won.
Hurts, let's break it down. So Hurts and Lamar for all
It's a wash, I think.
wash, right?
Yeah,
We'll say um,
I think
Mike Evans is a wash.
Waddle and Mike Evans is probably a wash. Yeah.
Okay.
I think the combination. I don't know. Actually, looking at the time, it's
Hmm.
pretty even. To be completely honest with you, I mean, I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it depends what side you need because the first side got massive running back help. I mean, like we
Yeah.
said, Dalvin just looks he's cranking, man.
Yeah.
And Fournette, we neither me and Rick both don't like Fournette, but I mean he's still a top
I think
10 running
Fournette's
back
the
on the
part of
year.
this trade that I don't like. Obviously, Swift, I think, is a better play than Fournette moving forward. So it kind of all just comes down to like what you think between like Dalvin and CD. I'd probably give that edge a little bit to Dalvin, maybe. I don't know. It's a pretty even trade. It just kind of depends if you needed wide receiver help or running back help in this
I agree.
situation.
Yeah, I think it's if you needed running back help, I like the first side, but if
Yeah.
all things are equal, I like the second side better.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. This was the what do we got? The Miami Dolphins at the Detroit Lions. Miami goes into Detroit, wins this game 31-27 in a pretty high scoring affair. Fantasy points galore in this game. A lot of Tyreek Waddle. They both go for over 100. Waddle with the 2 TDs. Hawkinson with a nice game, but he is no longer a Lion. And this was a pretty fun game to watch. I had the over, which I felt pretty comfortable with, and hit that pretty comfortably in this game. So I won my bet on this game. And the Dolphins, I mean, we'll talk about this game real quick, but they did make a move, kind of like a minor move as far as like their offensive side of the ball goes, getting rid of Chase Edmonds, but they definitely bulk up the defense, getting one of the best pass rushers in the game in Bradley Chubb from the Broncos. So, I mean, talk to me about this game, and then also, since we're not going to talk about the Broncos today, talk to me a little bit about what your thoughts are on Chase Edmonds on the Broncos, what you think the Dolphins backfield is now with Raheem Mostert, and they also traded Jeff Wilson from the 49ers. So talk to me about all that. Just give me a recap of the game and tell me what you think.
I'd first like to start by saying, can we officially say I was right on Tua? That
Yeah.
he's a good quarterback?
He's a good quarterback.
I feel like I'm the alone in the Tua corner for 2 years now, and everyone's like, that guy sucks. But no, man, he's really good. So anyway, I don't understand how teams just don't play. This is the only reason the Ravens lost to the Dolphins. How do you not play a safety 30 yards down the field against the Dolphins and just say we're going to play 10 versus 11, but you're not going to get over our top? Like, I don't understand how they just consistently get beat deep. Anyway, yeah,
Tyreek's wide receiver 1 in the NFL, right? Like as far as fantasy goes, either him or Diggs, right?
It's either him, Diggs, or AJ Brown. Hold on, let me look. Diggs 1, Tyreek 2, Cup 3, Waddle 4. Look at that.
Look at that. Tua supporting two top
Two
five
top
wide
4. Yeah.
receivers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, he's the man. Anyway, yeah, their trade went down today. Chase Edmonds went over to the Broncos. I think it's pretty. I mean, it's good for Chase Edmonds. He's obviously not in favor on the Dolphins team, so they weren't using him whatsoever since week one. So it can only be, arrow up for Chase Edmonds. But I don't know that I'm like dying to trade for him or add him. But I'm pretty curious to see how the Broncos use him. Given that Javonte Williams is out for the year, Mike Boone, I believe, also got hurt, and I think it's semi-serious.
He's on the IR,
So,
yeah.
yeah, so Chase Edmonds, he's going to get playing time. Melvin Gordon's not going to last all year,
Yeah,
and
it's
neither
the
is
same with
Latavius
Melvin
Murray.
Gordon.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Chase Edmonds is a nice speculative ad, especially if he's on your waivers. You don't have to pay anything for him. So, yeah, it's a player that Rick and I both liked preseason. He's very talented. He just wasn't given the opportunity with the Dolphins. So I like him as an ad. As for the Lions, I saw a report right before the show that the Lions coach said that he was almost like apologizing to DeAndre Swift for playing him in this game. He said that he's not fully healthy and he like felt bad giving him so many touches. He only got 10 touches, but apparently he's not well. So something to monitor going forward that we got to really see how his health goes because 8 to 10 touches. I know we're probably still going to play him, but our expectations have to be a little tempered.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. He only had like a few touches. Jamal Williams had more touches on the ground. Like, was it just they were just limiting him because of his health, or I didn't know like what that situation was. He did get in the end zone one time, which was nice. But yeah, I just we'll see with him moving forward. I think this whole first of all, when it comes to, I mean, this isn't a DFS show, but when it comes to DFS, if you're playing DFS, just stack a Lions game every week. Like their games just shoot over the moon. Like there's just so many fantasy points, especially Lions home games where they play better in the dome. Like those games just are like 50 to 60 points like every game. So just play those. I feel like their offense just kind of like revolves around Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it was TJ Hawkinson, and their backfield's kind of like a revolving door at the moment. So I don't really feel comfortable playing those guys at the moment. But obviously, if you have DeAndre Swift or Jamal Williams and they're active, you probably have to play them. But the receivers are the strength as far as fantasy goes when it comes to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, TJ Hawkinson, who's gone. But that just means more targets for Amon-Ra and Josh Reynolds off the bench and stuff like that. So
Where did DJ Chark go?
he's hurt, I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So now that Hawkinson's gone, and I can't wait
Yeah,
for
maybe.
Jameson Williams to come back.
Jameson Williams is the guy that he's going to be like fire in that offense.
You want to get to this question that someone
Yeah.
asked?
Let me get that.
I got it. Yeah.
Well, let me pull up the first part
Oh,
first. He goes,
okay.
"Hey fellas, my team is Hertz, Cook, Kamara, ETN, Gibson, Foreman, and Pacheco." He lists his whole team here. Any trade ideas? And then he says he was offered. I'd give up Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, and Deontay Foreman for Derrick Henry.
Yes.
Should I do it?
Yes.
We can run 2 flexes, so I could run 4 RBs.
Yes. I think Derrick Henry is like. I don't. All right. I'm gonna read you his schedule coming.
I mean, it is that time of the year where Derrick Henry starts to dominate. So it is one of those situations where it's like, yeah, Derrick Henry might be the best running back moving forward in fantasy. So
he's the number 5 running back on the year, and that's with him having a bye. So he's essentially missed a week, and he's still running back 5 on the year. And just his color coded schedule is looking really nice the rest of the year. I know Terry and Lockett have both been like solid wide receiver 2s.
Foreman looked good last week too.
Foreman looked good, but I think when your team is pretty deep, and you have a lot of nice.
He says he can run 2 flexes, and that means if he did this move, his running backs and his flexes would be Cook, Kamara, Travis Etienne, and Derrick Henry. That's
Yes.
freaking formidable.
And
I don't know how you can lose a league like that.
I think you do it. I don't care that you give up, 2 really good wide receivers and like a decent. Foreman could have 8 carries for 22 yards next week, and no one would think anything of it. Just please go get Derrick Henry. Just do it.
Yeah, I would go get Derrick Henry too. I think that's a good move to make, especially given the rest of your team. Let's see here. Any other
Yeah.
questions? Okay, so trade Cortland Sutton for Devontae Smith full PPR to my opponent. I'm 2-6.
You're welcome, Blurpy. Thanks for asking the question. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We do this question and answer every week, so stop on by. All right. Trade Sutton for Devonta Smith. I mean, my first instinct, and without looking into it any deeper, is that they're a wash.
Yeah,
I mean, they're literally wide receiver 35 and wide receiver 36 on the year, now that I look into it.
yeah. I probably prefer the Devontae Smith side of that just because that offense is humming a lot more than the Broncos. The Broncos look pretty washed up, so just moving forward, I'd probably like the Devontae Smith side of it a little bit more, but they're pretty much a wash, I think.
Yeah.
Jake says, "Is Hunter Renfro dead?" No, he's not dead. He's alive. It's just the Raiders are awful. They're not good. I don't know
Yeah.
what else to say.
Shut out this past week.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's keep the show rolling here. We just did Dolphins line. Let's talk
Bears
about
and boys.
Yep. Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys win this game 49-29. This was kind of a competitive game for about a half, and the Bears look like they're in it. Justin Fields looks like he's turning a corner here, maybe in the NFL, and looking like a legit NFL quarterback. I mean, my biggest takeaway from this game is just Tony Pollard. Like, just start him. He should be the starting running back on this team. He's the best running back in their backfield. There's no reason why Zeke should get touches on this team besides in a backup role, and that's just my only take.
Yeah, I mean the problem is Zeke's kind of playing good this year too. I mean, it's not like Zeke is having a down year. It's just he's limited in he's limited in what his body can take on. But us avid fantasy players have been waiting for the Tony Pollard start for 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, Dallas has got to at least split their backfield. So we need more balls in the hands of Tony Pollard. Guy looks absolutely shot out of a cannon every time he touches the ball. What I want to bring up about the Bears, do you know Khalil Herbert is 6th in the NFL in rushing yards?
I did not know that, but that's surprising. I mean, that's another two running back situation where the backup is better than the starter.
I know, this is the battle of the backups here. But Herbert's unreal. When are they going to see that and actually give him the ball? I mean, he's producing at such a high level. But the biggest thing about this game and about the last month is Justin frickin' Fields, man. What the hell happened? He's literally QB2 over the last 4 games. And what clicked? Because the first month of the year, it looked like, not fantasy aside, he did not look like he belonged in the NFL. And all of a sudden, I don't know what the hell happened, but the guy is absolutely incredible. And they just traded for Chase Claypool today. So more help on the way. It's unreal.
Yeah, that was a weird move to begin with. I didn't really understand that. Like, why are they buying when they're probably not going to make the playoffs, or one of the worst teams in the NFL? But yeah, man, Justin Fields. I'll say that I was wrong about him. Like, if this is what he's going to be moving forward, I thought he was going to be terrible, but he looks actually kind of legit, and he's not there to the point of where he's like a good passing quarterback. Like, he's not enough to like support like a wide receiver one or anything like that, I don't think, but he is running the ball well. He ran for 8 for 60 and a touchdown this week. He's making plays with his legs, and kind of like a little mini Lamar Jackson, maybe like a Jalen Hurts kind of like type quarterback. So who knows?
Yeah. And his schedule coming up is really juicy too. So I think if you're having QB trouble, like a couple leagues, I drafted Russell Wilson in a lot of leagues this year, unfortunately. So in all my leagues that I have Russell Wilson, I'm literally cutting him for Justin Fields. It's not a question to me anymore. I'm not sticking to the name of Russell Wilson any longer. I'm going with the hot hand. I'm going with Fields.
I've seen Russell Wilson dropped in a lot of leagues that I play in.
They're not showing any signs of life, so it's like pointless. I'd rather have the upside of a guy that can run for 60, 70 yards a game.
Yep. Anything else from this game as far as like the Dallas pass catchers or
Yeah,
Darnell
I
Mooney?
was gonna check in on CD to see what he was up to. I feel like he's like quietly grinding out a really good year.
Yeah,
He is in PPR wide receiver 10. So he's paying off his draft price. So that's good to see. And, Dak's just coming back. So once he gets a little bit more in rhythm with Dak, I feel like, he's really going to take off the second half. I
that's
like him
also
a
wide
lot.
receiver 10 with Cooper Rush at the helm for 5 games or 4 games or whatever he
Saying
was.
a
Yeah,
lot. So,
yeah.
yeah, I like CD a lot.
All right. Jake asks Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I'm just dropping Russell also. I think the answer to this question is actually Justin Fields.
It is.
Yeah.
Jake, look at his schedule coming up. He has such a nice schedule.
Okay.
And like Blurpy said, he's had good games against good defenses, Patriots and Cowboys, and his schedule's cake. So I think we're about to see league-winning Justin Fields in our pocket right now.
Yeah. Um, I don't really have much else from this game as far as just looking at the box score. David Montgomery, I don't think he's really startable anymore. Like I think
He's a flex play at this point. Yeah.
yeah, he's like a low end flex play, like in situations where you're really desperate at flex. But other than that, Darnell Mooney, I guess he's a wide receiver 3/4 maybe potentially. Like
Yeah.
I don't think you can bench him if you're playing in 3 wide receiver leagues, but he's a kind of like a swallow your pride and have to start him. So I don't know, he's okay.
Wide receiver 53 on the year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
thrilled
we're-
about it.
yeah.
Um,
Super Squash asked, should I play Mostert or Jeff Wilson? Absolutely, Raheem Mostert in that situation. I think he's the RB1. I think Jeff Wilson's just there to complement him and be the backup. But Mostert's look good, so I think
yeah.
he's the guy.
Yeah, they only got Jeff Wilson because Chase Edmonds was part of the package for Bradley Chubb. So and Jeff Wilson, so the Dolphins system is the 49ers system. So he has familiarity with the coaches. So it was probably just an insurance policy for Mostert, who was also
Yep,
on the 49ers once upon a time. So
that's true. He
yeah,
was. So so both of the running backs in Miami have played under what's his name?
Shanahan,
Mike McDonald,
Mike Mike
McDaniel.
Mike McDaniel.
I don't know. He just looks like a
Yeah,
little nerd. He looks like he's like 12 years old. He's a good coach, though. All right, let's move on. We
so how
got
about Chuba Hubbard or Monty? Yeah, I'm going Monty there. I'm not playing Chuba Hubbard ever.
Chuba Hubbard or yeah. I don't think Chuba Hubbard's like the guy. I
No,
think I
Foreman
think
had the
I
game.
think Foreman's the guy there. I know Hubbard's been a little hurt, so I think he's just going to be like third down back, maybe like a pass catching back for the Panthers. So I think if you have the ability to try to get like Deontay Foreman, I think he's a good play moving forward. I think he's the RB1 in Carolina. But if you're picking between those two, I would probably lean towards Montgomery just because it seems like even though Khalil Herbert's the guy, Montgomery's still getting touches.
Yeah, I mean the volume's there. He has over 15 touches every game, so
Yep.
don't shy away from that.
All right, let's talk about the wildest and weirdest game of the day. Carolina Panthers at Atlanta Falcons, which surprisingly, this game was for first place at the division, which is mind-boggling at the end of the day. But yeah, so the Falcons win this game 37-34 in overtime. They took a 6-point lead with I think like 50 seconds to go in the game or 40 seconds to go in the game, and then the Panthers. I mean, PJ Walker just threw this like absolute dart or like whatever it was, like a rocket to DJ Moore, like a Hail Mary kind of pass. So DJ Moore catches the touchdown. They tie the game up. He takes his helmet off, which causes a 15-yard penalty on the extra point try, leads to a missed extra point by Eddie Pinheiro. Then in overtime, he has another 35-yard field goal chance to win the game for the Panthers. He misses again wide left, and the Falcons drive downfield and kick the field to win the game. So exciting game, weird game, maybe just a game of two bad teams. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it was pretty exciting to watch. I mean, it was the last game from the 1 p.m. slate that ended, so I was definitely watching a lot of it. But yeah, DJ Moore, huge game. Go ahead, I'll let you talk about the fantasy stuff.
Yeah, DJ Moore had a huge game, but again, it was on that I think it was a 62-yard touchdown, completely thrown in the air by PJ Walker. So I think, Moore had a forgettable afternoon, and so did PJ Walker until that last big play. But I guess regardless, still had a decent game. But yeah, it looks like PJ Walker has been named the starting quarterback moving forward.
Yeah.
Even with a healthy Baker. I don't know what that means for DJ Moore's outlook, who did not get traded today.
Yeah, he did not get traded.
So I think that's a little bit of a bummer. I think we were kind of holding out hope that he would get traded to, like, I don't know, the Packers or the Ravens, or dare I say the Giants would be an upgrade. But yeah, he's staying put. So DJ Moore, I think, is a high end wide receiver 3, back end wide receiver 2 moving forward. Not skill aside, it's just his opportunity just sucks. As for the Falcons, thank God they finally got Kyle Pitts involved. They threw the ball 28 times, which is so much better than like the 13, 14 times they've been throwing in a game. But what is frustrating with them is their split backfield right now. Caleb Huntley got the majority of the touches and the majority of the yards. Algier got in the end zone and was the pass catching back. So I don't really have a suggestion on who to play there. I think the answer is neither of them, because CPAT's coming back next week, we think. So I would just completely avoid this backfield, and Patterson would be the only one I would consider starting. But I might not even start him his first week back, just in case his injury flares up.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Their backfield's kind of a mess right now, but as soon as CPAC comes back, he will be the helm of that backfield. So hope I have him on a couple teams that's just riding my IR spots. So hopefully he comes back healthy and ready to go. But yeah, Kyle Pitts, man. I mean, he finally seemed like he's getting involved in the offense. He caught a touchdown in this game, and he looks like he could be back to like old Kyle Pitts, where he's actually a force to be reckoned with in the game. Drake London, kind of a bust so far this year. I don't know where he's at fantasy wise, but he's really not doing like what we thought he would do in the NFL. Maybe he needs a better throwing quarterback for him, but nothing too impressive on that side of the ball. I was impressed with Terrace Marshall Jr. from the Panthers. I know he had a 4 for 87 in the box score, but over the last couple of weeks, he's actually been putting up some numbers. I think he's pick upable when it comes to waivers, or if you need to start a wide receiver in a pinch. I think he's perfectly suitable to give you some points in fantasy. I think he's a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean the Panthers are obviously in let's see what we have mode. After getting rid of McCaffrey, so thank God.
Sometimes those modes are the best for fantasy. It's like see what you got, and you get some diamonds in the rough that you can play.
Yeah, I mean, they're just slinging it around the field and seeing what they have. So just remember, Terrace Marshall, really young player, came out of college, I believe, at 19 years old. He just turned 21, I think. So, still, he's growing into his body, learning football. So it's not like he's a 25-year-old receiver that just has sucked. He's just super green still, but really bright future. So for the second half of the year, I really like him if they're going to give him playing time. I just checked, and he had over 85% of the snaps each of the last 2 weeks, and before that he was running like 20% snaps. So they definitely flipped the script on him. It looks like he's a nice add moving forward. I like that call.
Okay, I'm just going to put this question up just as a joke here. Caden, the Colts fan, as far as your question goes, we don't answer questions about kickers because you should not be playing in fantasy leagues with kickers. They're the absolute most useless position.
Caden, I'll answer it. If you subscribe to the channel, I'll answer your question about kickers. Here's my answer. McPherson, he looked like he was in his own head this past week. Let's play him one more week. He has a home game. He's a heavy favorite. They're 8-point favorites at home. I like playing kickers in their own stadium when they're favorites. When they're not coming from behind, they should be winning the game and settling for field goals. I like McPherson this week. Go ahead and give him one more start.
Yeah, we're not going to answer kicker questions unless you're subscribed to the channel.
Trade for Justin Tucker. That's the answer.
Don't play in a league with kickers. That's the answer. All right. Let's move on here. We talked about the Panthers Falcons. Let's talk about the 49ers at the Rams. Christian McCaffrey coming out party. He throws, he catches, he runs for a touchdown. Absolutely incredible game from CMC. I think he's the first person to do that in the NFL since LaDainian Tomlinson, is what I heard. But I think he put up over 40 fantasy points this game. The Rams just look broken. They just look like a fraud team at the moment. I don't really know if this is anywhere close to the same Rams team that won the Super Bowl last year. But yeah, this is pretty good 49ers team, especially with CMC in the backfield now. They did this on the road without Debo, who's their maybe their second best player now, or even their best player now. So once he comes back, this 49ers team is going to be formidable, and they're going to be a Super Bowl threat this year.
Yeah, Rick, let me take the front half of this game if you can restart your mic again, because it's hard to hear you.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, so I'll talk about this game. So Rick already mentioned McCaffrey, easily, top 3 running back for the rest of the year. On a team that's absolutely going to feature their running back every week. So absolutely, would pretty much start, he's cream of the crop. So no issues there. We were wondering if he would kind of, split time with who's there, but we even had more assurance that that's not going to happen. They traded Jeff Wilson Jr., who was the starter before Christian McCaffrey. So McCaffrey is locked and loaded, every down player for San Francisco, wheels up. Deebo Samuel was held out of this game, so gave some room for Brandon Ayuk to take over as the number 1 receiver. He held up his end of the bargain, went 6 for 81 and a touchdown. Also, George Kittle got in the end zone. So, Rick and I were talking last week how this 49ers team is really crowded when it comes to fantasy scorers. So I actually like it better if one of the players is out, like either Ayuk, Kittle, or Debo, it sits out, because then you can kind of focus in a little bit more and you're going to get better production out of the players that are playing that week. But just like we called it, I feel like we nailed this one last week, Rick. We said Jimmy Garoppolo has the easiest job in the NFL. Just proved it right away. He only threw 4 incomplete passes and, had a relatively easy go of it in the second half, at least, against the Rams. The Rams are winning this game at halftime. Couldn't tell by the box score, but they're winning 14-10 at halftime.
It's funny. Jimmy G is the only quarterback in the NFL that can win games by not throwing the ball more than 10 yards down the field to any of his players. So just really quickly to go back to this kicker thing. Yeah, Caden, I actually prefer kickers that are in better offenses just because it gives you more chances to score. So if your choices are between McPherson and McLaughlin, I'd probably still roll with McPherson. But
same.
Yeah.
Give it another week. Yep.
You talk about the Rams side of the ball?
No, but I want to talk about this backfield because, dude, you know how we hate like backfields that just there's no clarity? I don't know that there's any like more of like a milkshake mess than the Rams backfield. Cam Akers,
wasn't he supposed to be traded today?
They swore they were going to trade him. He hasn't practiced. He did not get traded. And then Darrell Henderson had an injury crop up at the middle to the end of the week. So his snaps were limited, but to me that wasn't widely known. I mean, I played him in a couple leagues and I wouldn't have, but I heard like kind of after the game started that, he was going into the game and he was going to be limited due to an injury. And then Ronnie Rivers, who I'll be honest, I never freaking heard of him, led their team in carries. So no, Ronnie Rivers is not a pickup. No, Cam Akers is not droppable. I need 1 or 2 more weeks to see what they do with Cam Akers, because obviously they can't trade him. But I don't think you can let a player as talented as Cam Akers sit on your bench. I mean, maybe he's going through like some sort of like punishment right now. I don't know what's going on, but don't get frustrated and cut him, because running backs, especially on offenses that are good, we hope, are too valuable to cut.
So would you pick up anyone in this backfield? Malcolm Brown, maybe?
No. I think Henderson, obviously he still played. He was just limited, but he's the running back to own until further notice. But I think if someone dropped Cam Akers or if someone drops Darrell Henderson for some reason, I think they're both instant pickups until we get some clarity here. But I would not start Akers or Henderson or Rivers or Malcolm Brown this next week. Not going to do it.
Okay. Any thoughts about the Rams wide receivers with
Cooper Kupp and everyone else? Allen Robinson sucks. I don't care what anyone says.
What I was going to say was Cooper Kupp is slightly banged up. I mean, it looks like he's might be on track to play this week, but you got any thoughts about anybody beyond Cooper Kupp?
I just hate Allen Robinson. Just watching him play, he's just not good. I mean, he might get the ball out of necessity, but he's just not good. I mean, okay, he's
Van
gonna have.
Jefferson, maybe Van Jefferson.
Is he back yet?
He played
He's
this last week.
close.
He played this last week. He played
Oh,
in this game. He just
oh,
didn't
he
have
didn't
any.
have a
He didn't have
catch.
any targets.
No
Yeah,
targets, no catches.
yeah,
Okay.
no targets. Yeah.
Sure. I guess if you're desperate. Um, so Caden said Kyron Williams. No, I don't. I just think Kyron Williams sucks. I mean, he's like 5'8", 190 pounds, and he's slow. I just don't know. No, not Kyron Williams.
Caden says, "Does Hawkinson hurt Jefferson, Thielen, or Cook at all?"
Helps Cook.
I think.
That's
Yeah, I
that's
think.
not that's not debatable. Hawkinson's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's definitely helps Cook. I don't think it. No, nothing hurts Justin Jefferson. I don't.
Yeah.
And Thielen, in my mind, was kind of like a
It's whatever. Yeah.
boring wide receiver 3 anyway. So no, it doesn't hurt any of them. If anything, it helps them.
Caden, it looks like your avatar is you swinging a golf club. So if you're interested in PGA content, me and Tony do that on Mondays. So just tune in. We do a golf show on Monday and football show on either Tuesday or Wednesday. So welcome to the channel. Thanks for the support. All right. Last game of the week that we're going to talk about is Bills Mafia, which was an absolute heartbreaker kind of game for me because I had Bills minus 10.5 in this game. And I swear to God, this game was rigged in the second half with Josh Allen throwing interceptions at the goal line, penalties that are phantom penalties, pushing them out of field goal range. I just think Vegas needed a 10-point cover here or better from the Packers. And I think they think something happened here. I'm going to be the conspiracy theorist here and say that that was rigged. But either way, the Bills look good. They didn't look like they could stop Aaron Jones at all, though. Like, that was weird. Like, their running defense was terrible. Aaron Jones just went bananas in this game. But, yeah, I mean, Bills are the best team in the NFL. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. But at times they are a little suspect when it comes to the run defense. If they go up against a team like the Ravens, who can exploit that run defense, could have a little bit of trouble in the playoffs. You never know.
So I'm going to need the Bills fans that are watching this to chime in because I'm a little lost. I thought, I don't watch every minute of every Bills game, but I know a lot of people on this channel do. Give me a comment on what happened with the run defense because I thought that the Bills were just suffocating the run and their defensive line was just dominating, for most of the year this year. That being said, we thought going into this year that the Packers were going to have one of, if not the most dominant run tandems in the whole NFL. And finally, they did it and they stuck to it. And look at the results. I mean, we were saying Aaron Jones is a good second round pick. AJ Dillon is like the best fifth round pick in fantasy ever. I mean, that's what I was saying at least. And finally, if they stick by their formula, it works out. Yes, the Packers didn't win this game, but I think it was a moral victory, if there's such a thing. Like they actually
They covered the spread.
they made an identity on offense and they stuck to it, which was great. And thanks, Mike, for commenting that number one ranked run defense coming into the game, and the Packers still ran down their throats. So
I don't really know what happened. Yeah.
Packers, Aaron Rodgers, if you're listening, keep running the ball, set up the play action. I know you have no one to throw to, and I'm your number 2 receiver, but good luck. This stinks, man, because I kind of feel bad for Aaron Rodgers. Coming into this game, he has Romeo Dubs and Christian Watson, and Christian Watson left in the first quarter with a concussion. So Romeo Dubs and no one else, and he's a rookie. So how the Packers don't trade for literally any receiver today is the most mind-blowing thing. I mean, does that mean they give up? Like, is the towel thrown?
I don't know. They're also the team that never has ever drafted a receiver in the first round to give Aaron Rodgers any help. They just think that Aaron Rodgers can develop, no-name wide receivers, and I just think at his age he's maybe not good enough to do that anymore. So you got to go out and get someone like DJ Moore or somebody that
Elijah Moore,
yeah, anybody like where that your team is good. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback who's still like, 2-time MVP in a row. Like, he can win football games with his arm. You need to get him some help because you're playing in a division where now the Vikings are kind of running away with it. So you're probably going to be like a wild card spot, but you're still good enough to win playoff games with Aaron Rodgers. You just need to get him some help.
Yeah, it looks to be too late for that. I mean, Randall Cobb's hurt, Alan Lazard's hurt, Christian Watson has only played a few games this year.
Maybe they'll get Beckham. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of their only chance. Or who's the fast guy that hasn't played all year?
The
They
fast
used
guy
to
who hasn't played all year.
Yeah, he used to be on the Texans. I don't remember his name.
Texans.
He's
Kiki
a really
Kuti?
no. The fast guy with dreads that broke like he always
Yeah.
yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking. He's on
Anyway,
the He's on the Packers. Oh, no, he's not on the
no. I
team.
said they can't make a trade. They only have to pick up Will Fuller. Thank you,
Will
Caden.
Fuller, yeah. Will Fuller.
The fast guy with dreads on the Texans. There
The
you
guy
go.
that would score, he could score 3 touchdowns in one game, one time a year.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's Will Fuller, Odell Beckham, or bust for the
He
Pack.
retired last week. What?
Ooh, no way. I
didn't know
taught
that.
you taught me something today. I did not know he
That's
retired.
true. I did not know that. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
good for him. So I guess it's Odell Beckham or bust.
Okay.
Yikes. Anyway,
You want to talk about the Nyheim Hines pickup?
yeah, the trade. That was we were texting a little bit in our group chat, which is me, Rick, and Mike, a Bills fan who runs the channel, and Mike was surprised about the trade, and I'll be honest, I kind of am too. They didn't give up much to acquire Nyheim Hines, and I think he's an underrated player. He's a better NFL player than he is a fantasy player, and he's actually a decent fantasy player too. But he's just pass catcher extraordinaire. He's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL, and he's just an absolutely clutch third down player. So I think he fits a hole that the Bills had. They were hoping James Cook kind of came in and took that third down role, and I think James Cook is growing into a role now that Zach Moss got traded, right?
Yeah, he was part of that deal.
Yeah, Zach Moss is traded to the Colts.
The Colts.
Yeah. So, you're seeing the roles kind of get a little bit more defined. Singletary is definitely the lead guy. James Cook ripped off a couple big plays. He looks super, super spry and explosive. But Nyheim Hines is going to be that, Mr. Reliable, passing down role, 2-minute drill, third downs. So, I think this improves the Bills. There's no way it hurts their team.
So Caden's a good guy here to comment on this because he's a Colts fan. He said their GM acknowledged it and got Hines to a better spot. Maybe he was kind of requesting a trade. I don't know.
I mean, I agree with that. You've always heard Frank Reich talk about how good Nyheim Hines is and how he wants to get him in the game more. But when you have Jonathan Taylor, there's only so many times you can put Nyheim Hines on the field. It's almost like they should have just converted him to like a slot receiver. But I don't know. I mean, he's obviously very good.
I think Jake from the show said it best earlier in Discord. He said, I think the plan is Devin Singletary is going to walk after this year. They're not going to re-sign him, and Cook's going to be the starting running back next year, and Nyheim Hines is going to be the backup and pass catching back. So I think they're just kind of setting up for that. But that's next year. I don't really know what it means for this year moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, and Caden just made a point. I mean, Zach Moss didn't have a role, and he wasn't producing on this team. So if you can flip Zach Moss and a super late draft pick to get Nyheim Hines, and you're a Super Bowl contender, just why the hell not? I mean, I don't think James Cook has earned a role quite yet. To be on the field for half the snaps or 40% of the snaps. He's getting there, and he's super explosive when the ball's in his hands. But Nyheim Hines is just, you can trust him. He's a veteran. He is just always going to catch the ball. I mean, the Bills are a better team today.
Yep, I agree. Okay, that is all the games that we're going to recap from last week. Let's quickly go through some waiver wire stuff, Chris, and then I got to go after that. And if you want to keep staying here and take a couple more questions, you can, but let's run through these real quick. Do you have any running backs that you want to talk about as far as waiver wire pickups go?
I didn't really have anyone in mind. My main waiver wire people that I was going to mention is Justin Fields. I think not only is he a good waiver wire for this week coming up, but I think rest of season, really high on him. I don't think he can rip off 4 good weeks in a row and then regress again. I wouldn't hope so. Yeah. So super high on Justin Fields, not only for 1 week help, but for rest of year help. And I don't know, I'd rate him top 12 rest of the year moving forward, if not higher. Maybe you can go more aggressive than that. And then for tight end, please keep a status on Mark Andrews. If Mark Andrews is not going to play Monday night, you have to play Isaiah Likely. So I'll hear your running backs and receivers and comment on yours.
I don't really have much either. I guess Deion Jackson's a nice little like sneaky pickup if he's available, just because JT's like seemed like he's been getting hurt a little bit, off and on for the year, and then we've seen Deion Jackson perform when he's given the main role there. So maybe just as a handcuff, a high-end handcuff to Jonathan Taylor, there's nice. Rashad White, we talked about it earlier in the week, last week, that he's a good pickup. They were on bye this week, so I don't really know what they're going to be doing coming out of the bye. I'm talking about the Chiefs.
Pacheco, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, are they going to go back to CEH? Are they going to roll with Pacheco? I mean, we don't know really what they're going to be doing coming out of the bye. I think Pacheco's the most explosive guy they got in the backfield, so he wouldn't be a bad stash, especially if they give the hot hand to him. But other than that, I don't really have any other thoughts. I mean, my list here has Tyler Algier at the top, but I don't think that's a good pickup just because I think C-Pat's coming back.
Yeah, I don't like the Algier pickup. I mean, if Patterson's not coming back, I think that's fine. I think the main thing I would do in the running back department is I just lost my thought. Pacheco, you called it on that one. And then I'd look to trade for James Conner if you need running back help. We talked about that a little bit. And then Chase Edmonds, if he was dropped, I would not pick him up and play him. I would pick him up and stash him and see what the Broncos do with him.
Yep, I like those calls. Wide receiver-wise, we already talked about it last week, but Jameson Williams is still number one on my list. I think he is due to come back either this week or next week.
I think so. The Lions coach said before the last week's game that he was a month away. So 2 or 3 more weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Kadarius Toney, I know he's available in a lot of leagues. He is a Chief now, and he is a big improvement at quarterback with Patrick Mahomes. Garrett Wilson, I mean, he's on my list as somebody that's available in more than 50% of leagues, but if you're playing a league where Garrett Wilson's available, that's a pretty soft league, to be completely honest with you. Like, he should not be available. He should be on a roster. Same with Rondell Moore. I think he should be definitely on a roster. If he's available, pick him up. What are your thoughts? Just real quick before we move on. Like, what are your thoughts about the Giants wide receivers? Like, do you have any like? I mean, Darius Slayton gets his like 4 to 5 catches a game. Wan'Dale Robinson looks okay. Like, I just don't. I really think the Giants are. I know it sounds weird about saying this about a 6-2 team, but they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. I cannot believe we lost to them. Like, that still like bothers me that we lost to the Giants. But I just don't know if I can play any of their wide receivers or any of their pass catchers.
Yeah, man, I'm bummed we lost to them too. And we were talking about this last week. It's like the Giants are terrible, man. I cannot stand watching them. Cannot stand watching them. Anyway, the only wide receiver on that team that I would roster is Wan'Dale Robinson, but I would roster him. I'm not playing him. Yeah. But just he's a super explosive player, and we'll see how they use him. They traded away Toney, so I don't know. They don't have anyone else to throw the ball to. Slayton is who he is. He's a deep threat. But my pickups of the week and people that I would play immediately, Josh Palmer. I like him. He has a super soft matchup this week. Coming off a bye.
Is he healthy?
I mean, he was out because of a concussion, and they had a bye.
Okay,
so I would assume so. It's not like a hamstring or something. Right. So yeah, I'm assuming he's going to be 100% healthy, and Mike Williams is going to miss the game, and it's a gravy matchup. So love Josh Palmer this week, and he's on a lot of waiver wires because he didn't play and leading into the bye. And then I had another one. One that I like. I think he's playable every week in a flex, but I absolutely love him for the back half of the year. Donovan Peoples-Jones. This guy is just freaking good at football, man.
He's a target machine.
Dude, he is so good, and he makes
and he gets Deshaun Watson back in the future.
That's why I said I think you need him on your bench now, because everyone and their mom is going to want to go get him week 10, week 11 when Deshaun's coming back around the corner. I mean, I was almost said the F word, but you can play him now. You don't have to wait. I mean, he's solid. He scores over 10.
This is a free channel. You can say the F word.
Yeah, anyway. But I don't know, man. I mean, he's he's just waiting to explode. He has chunk plays every game. I don't know. I've been on him for a year now, but I love him. I think he's going to absolutely have dominant games when Deshaun comes back.
Okay. Just one more sneaky name from my end, and it's just not like it's a impressive name, or it's not like somebody that has an explosive offense or anything. But Devontae Parker did get hurt this past week, so you can maybe stash Tyquan Thornton. Like I think he gets like targets when he's in the game. He was getting more targets when Billy Zappi was quarterback. I don't really know with Mac Jones, but that's kind of a mess of a team also. And they're the running back. Like we didn't talk about the Patriots in all this game, but their backfields looks like a 50-50 split between Stevenson and Harris, and their wide receivers just don't look like the greatest like fantasy wise. But if you need like 7 to 8 points or 9 points or something, like maybe you can get that with their pass catchers. I don't really have any other thoughts about that.
I was hoping a Patriots wide receiver got traded so we could get a little more clarity there. I was hoping, Parker or Kendrick Bourne got traded because I wanted to see Thornton get some more opportunities too. He's had a couple promising games, but for me it's just Josh Palmer. Play him this week. I like him a lot. He's a nice DFS play this week. I will say that.
Okay. Tight end, you got anything? Tyler Conklin, Isaiah Likely.
Dude, you want to hear something crazy? I'm gonna double check before I say the stat. Tyler Conklin is tight end 6.
Yeah, I know he's having a great year.
He's tight end 6 on the year, and I don't know his ownership in Yahoo, but it's like he's like 50% owned.
Yeah.
And he's an every week starter. People, let's do it.
Greg Dulcich, you like him at all?
Love him. Albert O has been a healthy scratch 3 weeks in a row. Love Dulcich. That offense is kind of stagnant, but he's had a couple nice games already. We already talked about Isaiah Likely to death. Evan Ingram, can we talk about my man just going off every single week?
He's so good all of a sudden. We need to believe the Giants and Daniel Jones.
Yeah, love it. Oh, and while we're talking about the Jaguars real quick, was it not the most confusing trade of the day that they traded for Calvin Ridley?
I mean, is that confusing or is that just their?
I've never like what's the point of a deadline deal for a team that has 2 wins to trade for a player that's out for the year?
That's exactly why. Like they're looking forward to next year. I mean, with Kirk and Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley, that's pretty formidable.
Yeah, I mean, it's sneaky by the Jaguars because if you were to wait till the end of the year, there would be a whole bunch of suitors for Ridley, right?
Yeah.
They'd be lining up for him. So I actually give their front office some props. When that dropped, I was just like, damn, that was slick. I like that a lot.
It's confusing in the sense that he's not going to do anything this year, but who knows about next year. Max asked, give Kelsey for Ertz and Amon-Ra. I have no good wide receivers. Yeah, I would do it. If you really need help at wide receiver, I mean,
I need the definition of no good wide receivers.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time trading the far and away best player. Okay, no, I'm going to say no, and I'm going to explain why. I understand the point of the trade. Okay, Travis Kelce is averaging 21 fantasy points a game. Mark Andrews is second place with 15. Zach Ertz is in third place with 12. So you're giving up 9 fantasy points per game if you go from Kelce to Zach Ertz. That's literally an entire player extra. Kelsey's worth 2 players.
If he has really bad wide receivers.
Amon-Ra is not outscoring whatever receiver he plays by 9 points a game.
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Who knows? Yeah.
I don't know. I would say
you probably need to know the rest of your wide receiver stands to that question.
I understand the premise. You need to shoot a little higher though.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give up Kelce, he's gold, man. Don't give him up.
Yeah, you could probably get something more than that. Art still has a huge gap to 4. Yeah, I mean he's not the greatest. Okay. Do you want to hang out for a little bit more because I gotta get going?
No, man. We can pretty much end it. Yeah, thanks for all that came out. If you just came in the last couple minutes, we do a question and answer every week. So please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you can join Rick and I on our live stream. And it was a pleasure having you guys, and hope to talk to you next week. Caden, thanks for hanging out for a lot of the chat. Mike, thanks for hanging out. Max, nice talking to you, and hope to see you next week.
Yeah,
And
our Twitter handles are right here below our faces. So if you have any questions, feel free to DM us or tweet at us or leave some questions in the comment section of the video. And like Mike said, join the Discord. The link for that is in the description. We talk football and golf all week, every week. So join the Discord, and we'll be there to answer any other questions that you have. And yeah, we'll be back here next week to talk week 9.
cool, man. I'm out to watch the World Series. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, me too. All right, bye.
See you. Yeah, Rick.